I do my hair toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Hair toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling?
Welcome to Black History Teachers Week. Today we have the wonderful
Raven Viscarando.
And today we will be talking about her experiences as an African American teacher and just getting some advice from her and everything else. So for starters, I would like to ask you, what made you become a teacher?
So growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. I remember going to career day and my mom, in kindergarten, my mom dressed me up as a teacher. I used to play school with my sisters. So it is something that has always been a passion for me. I have teachers in my family. I went to college, majored in nursing because of the lack of respect for teachers and the lack of pay. But once I got to college, I changed my major back to teaching just because I wanted to be a mentor and a role model for kids. And I've been doing it ever since.
Awesome. And as we were speaking earlier, you told me that you teach at a school that is predominantly 70% black, and then you have it's pretty much multicultural, but the majority is black. So do you feel like being in a school that has so much diversity, but majority minorities, that you have kind of an obligation to be there and be more involved with them?
A little bit. I feel like I have an obligation to be involved with all my students, but it is a little bit different teaching at a school that has more minority kids because they do kind of lean on you a little bit more. And it might be because they can relate to you a little bit more. So I try to be open and honest with all of my kids and make sure I'm like a mom or an aunt or like some sort of leader to where they feel empowered when they speak to me or.
Awesome. I can totally relate to that. Another question for you. What do you want your kids to take from you? What do you want to instill within them? And in 10 years, what would you like for them to look back and say, okay, well, when I was in such and such grade, Mrs. King, or Viscarano, excuse me if I pronounce your last name wrong, instilled this in me. What is your main goal for them?
So teaching in 2020 is hard. You have to literally compete with social media. So I am very strict on my kids all the time, and I demand the best of them. So 10 years from now, when they're looking back on the experience that they had in my class, I want them to know that they had somebody who really did care about them and loved them and was hard on them because they wanted to see them do the best that they can. Because so many times in society today, we accept the bare minimum from children. And as an educator and just as a human being who wants to see kids succeed, I will never accept the bare minimum. And my students know that. And so I just, I want them to always know that I push them to do the very best that they could, and that I love them.
Okay, that's awesome. That's so heartfelt, and we need more teachers like you out here. And as far as social media goes, do you think that has a really a negative impact on children? Or what grade do you teach actually?
I teach 11th grade, but wow. I've taught 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. I tell people all the time, social media definitely has an effect on these kids. It has created like a society that is just fake. Mm-hmm. I don't think rappers and Instagram models and influencers realize the impact that they have on these children. Mm-hmm. From the things that they say to the things that they do, and you can just see the lack of attentiveness in them, the lack of empathy. A lot of things that we allow online, they do this in real life. They're not empathetic towards each other. They don't know how to resolve conflict face to face with one another. Things that these songs say, they actually go out here and do it. We see a lot at my school. We have been seeing a lot of kids do drugs, most of them being the 9th graders. So I truly believe all of that is coming from music that's telling these kids that all of that is okay, but they're not emotionally ready to deal with stuff like that. They don't know how to handle the effects of like drugs and sex, and social media makes it okay for them to indulge in these activities that they have no idea about.
And do you feel like because we're based out of Atlanta in particular, that the celebrities that we have out here aren't, especially the black celebrities, aren't being good role models, and they're trying to be more like them than they are focusing on their education?
Well, at my school it's a little bit different. We do actually have some people come to our school that are celebrities, and they do feed our kids and give back to our community, but I think like the kids lean more towards the negative ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't put all celebrities in a box and just say, you know, all of them are influencing our kids negatively, because there are some good ones out there.
Okay.
But, you know, a lot of your trap rappers, they don't understand what they do to these kids, and those are the ones the kids want to listen to.
Exactly.
So that's where you find the disconnect with like humanity and social media, and yeah.
All right, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for becoming a teacher. We need more people out there to actually care and not just trying to collect the check.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for your time, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raven.